When Feanor arrived at Losgard, he burned the ships to prevent his half-brother Fingolfin from reaching Middle-earth, causing them to cross the Helcaraxe. In the land called Lammoth, the Great Echo, they march as Morgoth learns of the second host arrival on Middle-earth and issues an orc host from Angband to Lammoth. The orcs make a surprise attack upon the elves. When the onset of the orcs caught the host unaware, they marched southwards and the ranks of the Eldar were giving way. He, Argon, sprang forward and hewed a path through the foes, daunted by his stature and the terrible light of his eyes, till he came to the orc captain. There he felled him, and his orcs were dismayed. Hey guys, in today's video we will continue with our Wars of Beleriand series, so if you are a fan of Tolkien lore don't forget to comment, like and subscribe. So let's get back to our story. In the flight of the Noldor, Feanor stole the ships from the Teleri to sail to Middle-earth. Yet when he arrived at Losgard, he burned the ships to prevent his half-brother Fingolfin from reaching Middle-earth. In the land called Lammoth, the Great Echo, you can't really be too quiet. The acoustics are extraordinary. Sound travels, footfalls, voices, and even the sound of the unjustifiable burning of Teleri ships in a vile act of treachery. And not only does the Noldor Prince Fingolfin spot the flames of his half-brother's betrayal from far across the strait between Aman and Middle-earth. So do the orcs of Morgoth. When Fingolfin saw the flames from the burning ships, he knew he was betrayed and left to perish in misery. He could go after Feanor or go back to Aman and ask the Valar for forgiveness for taking part in Feanor's rebellion in shame. But they were bitter in anger and wished to meet Feanor once more to answer for his great betrayal. Galadriel's pride was unwilling to return, a defeated suppliant for pardon, but now she burned with desire to follow Feanor with her anger to whatever lands he might come, to thwart him in all ways that she could. The Silmarillion states. Therefore, Feanor halted and the Noldor debated what course they should now take. But they began to suffer anguish from the cold, and the clinging mists through which no gleam of star could pierce, and many repented of the road and began to murmur, especially those that followed Fingolfin, cursing Feanor, and naming him as the cause of all the woes of the Eldar. Therefore, led by Fingolfin and his sons, Finrod, and Galadriel, they dared to pass through the north, and having found no other way, they endured the terrors of the Helcaraxe and its deadly hills of ice. The Helcaraxe, that perilous icy waste that formerly lay between Araman, a region in the north of Aman, and Middle-earth in the far north of Arda. And Fingolfin and his kin wandered long and wretchedly, but their valor and endurance grew greater with hardship, for they were a mighty folk, the elder children undying of Eru, but newly come from the blessed realm, and not yet weary of the weariness of earth, the fire of their hearts was young. There was vast fogs and mists of deadly cold amid the eternal darkness caused by the poisoning of the trees of Valinor. There was a constant state of movement. The chill waters of the encircling sea and the waves of Beleriand flowed together. There was clashing hills of ice and the grinding of the deep sunk ice. The ice was constantly changing. At any moment you might be thrown as a hill of ice is raised up, or the ice might split under you. Few feats of the Noldor surpassed the journey through the Helcaraxe. By the time Fingolfin and his army completed the crossing, a great part of his host had perished in the cold. With the first rising of the moon, Fingolfin and the second, greater host of the Noldor, marched southward into the Lammoth. Feanor had led the first army, Fingolfin the second, and the third, a smaller more reluctant one, was led by Fingolfin. Yet Fingolfin decided to turn back and was pardoned by the Valar, giving Fingolfin kingship over the Noldor. Morgoth learns of the arrival of Fingolfin on Middle-earth, and issues an orc host from Angband to Lammoth. The orcs make a surprise attack upon the elves. The elves are caught off guard and began to fall back. When the onset of the orcs caught the host unaware, they marched southwards and the ranks of the Eldar were giving way. He, Argon, sprang forward and hewed a path through the foes, daunted by his stature and the terrible light of his eyes, till he came to the orc captain and felled him. Then though he himself was surrounded and slain, the orcs were dismayed, and the Noldor pursued them with slaughter. We are not given any hair or eye color for Araucano, nor do we know if he was single or married. However, we are told that he was the tallest of the brothers and the most impetuous. The mother of Argon was Aner, who was of the Noldor as well, and his elder brothers were Fingon and Turgon. He also had only one sister, Aridhel, only daughter of Fingolfin and Aenir, who was elder to Argon. Argon is the Sindarin form of Araucano, although he never used it. Arcano is his Kenya name. It was devised posthumously for him in the records. It is recorded that this later became a popular name of Argon which was used by the Eldar. Argon does not appear in the published Silmarillion at all, as he only came to light in very late writings by Tolkien. His character was developed as Tolkien devised the genealogies. At first he fell in the fighting at Alqualond and then he perished while crossing the Helcaraxe before his death was set in the Battle of the Lammoth. Soon after, Fingolfin's host passed into Mithrim as the sun first rose. He led his host unopposed through Dor Daedaloth to the gates of Angband and smote upon them. Fleeing the flaming light of the sun, Morgoth's forces make themselves scarce. They hide in their caves and dungeons, unwilling to face this angry army of high elves. Fingolfin bangs on the doors and the Noldor blow their trumpets, issuing their challenge. But unlike a certain someone, Fingolfin's not so reckless. He takes it all in, sees Angband's formidable gates by the literal light of day, and knows that laying siege to it directly would be useless. While Morgoth bunkers down, there's no breaking in. The best the Noldor can do is try to keep Morgoth holed up. There was great animosity that had come between the two hosts due to the burning of the ships. Fingolfin and his people made camp on the northern shores of the lake, and the late Feanor's people withdrew to its southern shores. It's important to note, Celeborn and Galadriel play no important role in the battles of Beleriand, as they judge the War of the Jewels to be hopeless against Morgoth's strength. Hey guys, that is all for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Middle-earth lore as we continue with our Wars of Beleriand series. See you soon.